A pregnancy should be a miracle. Mine was proof of a $75,000 crime. My husband's secret vasectomy made our baby a scientific impossibility. But the lie was bigger than our marriage. It was a life insurance fraud scheme. I had 48 hours to get proof before he could erase everything. This is how I uncovered the medical betrayal and the money motive. Subscribe to hear the confession that changed my life forever. It was Tuesday, March 12th, in our Austin home. The test showed 2 lines instantly. I remember clutching it, thinking of how we'd tell his parents in Houston. We'd been trying for 2 years, or so I thought. I found him at the kitchen island, reviewing quarterly reports for his Dallas-based tech firm. "Look," I whispered, holding out the test. His reaction wasn't in the script. No smile, no embrace. His face went sheet white. "That's impossible," he stammered. "Not, are you sure? Not how, just impossible." He claimed a childhood illness had made him effectively sterile, a story he'd never mentioned in 8 years together. He called it a medical miracle, but his voice was hollow. That night, as he pretended to sleep, I lay awake tracing the timeline. Our trying consisted of him suggesting just enjoying the process without tracking cycles. Always casual, always pressure-free. Too pressure-free. The next morning, I called my OBGYN, Dr. Chen, at Austin Women's Health. "Spontaneous reversal happens in less than 1% of vasectomies," she said cautiously, "but we should confirm paternity." That word, paternity, hung in the air. I opened his laptop, left charging on the counter. I typed V into the search bar. It autofilled vasectomy reversal costs Austin. My hands went cold. I checked his email. Buried in promotions was a message from Texas urology specialists dated March 10, 2021. Subject, post-op instructions and follow-up. 3 years ago, a full year before our wedding at the Driscoll Hotel. The email contained generic aftercare advice, but the header had his name, date of birth, and a patient ID. I checked our shared Amazon account. An order for vasectomy recovery underwear, ice packs, and Tylenol number 3, delivered March 15, 2021, to his office address. The evidence was digital, but it felt physical, like a punch. He'd had a vasectomy, hidden it through our entire courtship and marriage, and lied to my face about infertility. But as I sat there trembling, a worse thought emerged. Why? Why such an elaborate, years-long deception? The answer would be in a small, fireproof safe in the back of his closet, a safe whose combination I just realized was our wedding date. I waited until his weekly client dinner in Dallas, every Thursday, 7 p.m. at Nick and Sam's Steakhouse. At 7:15 p.m., I was in his closet. The safe was behind 3 boxes of Allen Edmonds shoes. I spun the dial. 0622. Our wedding date, June 22nd. The door clicked open. Inside were passports, car titles, and a thick envelope from Liberty Shield Assurance Group, his company's insurer. I pulled the policy. Standard $500,000 life insurance, but with addendums clipped to the front. One was titled Permanent Infertility Rider Payout Schedule. My eyes scanned to Section 3, Subsection B, benefit amount $75,000, $75,000.00, payable upon verified medically induced permanent infertility. Attached was a notarized certificate of permanent infertility signed by Dr. Eris Thorne, MD, Urology, dated March 10, 2021, the same date as the post-op email. The certificate cited bilateral vasectomy as the qualifying condition. The policy was issued through his employer's group plan at Synergy Tech Solutions, Dallas, TX. This wasn't a secret. This was a financial instrument. My miracle baby wasn't just a surprise. It was a liability that could void a $75,000 payout. I photographed every page with my iPhone, ensuring the policy number LS4882-2021 and his signature were clear. Then I searched deeper in the safe. Beneath the policy, I found a separate file, loan documents Benjamin Eris, his college friend, the urologist, a $25,000 personal loan co-signed by my husband 6 months before the vasectomy. The pieces locked into place with an almost audible click. He loans Ben money, Ben provides a medical certificate for an insurance fraud, they split the $75,000, a perfect criminal symmetry. But my pregnancy, a spontaneous reversal, had blown the scheme. I heard the garage door open. He was home 2 hours early. I had the documents spread on the bed, the safe gaping open. There was no time to hide anything. His footsteps climbed the stairs. He paused outside our bedroom door. The knob turned. He stood in the doorway, still in his suit from Dallas, tie loosened. His eyes went from my face to the documents on the bed, to the open safe. For 3 seconds, there was only the hum of the HVAC. Then his face hardened into a mask I'd never seen. "You went through my safe," he said flatly. Not a question, an accusation. I pointed to the insurance writer. $75,000, Mark, for your infertility. He didn't deny it. He walked to the bed, picked up the policy. "It's a smart financial hedge," he said, voice unnervingly calm. "If we stay married, we collect eventually. It's just advanced estate planning." I stared at him. "You lied about being sterile for years, and you're calling it estate planning?" He sighed, as if explaining to a slow child. "The policy has a 2-year incontestability clause. It matures next month. We could have paid off the mortgage. My pregnancy," he explained, "created a problem of evidence. If Liberty Shield discovered he was fertile, the policy would be voided. They might investigate." "So what was the plan?" I asked, my voice shaking. "Wait for the payout, then fake my death?" He actually smiled, a thin, terrible smile. "Don't be dramatic. We'd just wait a few years, then discover the reversal. These things happen." But the loan to Ben bothered me more. "You loaned him $25,000 6 months before your vasectomy." His composure cracked. "That's separate. Ben had gambling debts from the WinStar Casino in Oklahoma." I connected it instantly. Ben certifies the vasectomy for the insurance fraud. My husband gets the $75,000 payout. Ben gets his debt cleared, plus a cut. A perfect circle of fraud. "This is insurance fraud," I said. "Texas Penal Code, Section 35.02. It's a state jail felony, 2 to 10 years. He slammed his hand on the dresser. A framed wedding photo wobbled. "You think you're clean? The policy is a marital asset. You could be charged as an accomplice." The threat hung in the air. Then he delivered the line that changed everything. "My lawyer is already drafting the paperwork. You should get one too." He'd been planning this before I even knew I was pregnant. He turned and left, taking the documents with him. I was alone with the evidence on my phone and a terrifying realization. I needed to move faster than his lawyer, much faster. I slept in the guest room with a chair against the door. At 3 a.m., I heard him on the phone downstairs, muffled, urgent. "She has photos, the policy number." "Yes, all of it." I crept to the top of the stairs. "Meet at the office. Shred everything. Ben needs to know." He was destroying evidence. I had until morning. I dressed in dark clothes, took my purse and car keys. The garage door would be too loud. I went out the front door, into the cool Austin night. My Prius was parked on the street. I drove to a 24-hour FedEx office on South Lamar. There, I printed every photo, created 3 copies, one for me, one for a lawyer, one for someone else. At 5:30 a.m., I texted my college friend Sarah, now a corporate attorney in Houston. "Emergency. Need a family lawyer who knows insurance fraud. Today." She replied instantly. "Maya Rodriguez. Best in Texas. Sending contact." By 8 a.m., I was in Maya's downtown Austin office, 17th floor overlooking Lady Bird Lake. She scanned the documents, her expression unreadable. "This is textbook insurance fraud," she finally said. "But the marital asset complication is problematic." She explained that under Texas community property laws, the policy, acquired during marriage, could implicate me. However, my pregnancy and ignorance were powerful equity arguments. Her strategy was brutal. We would use the threat of reporting him to Liberty Shield and the Texas Department of Insurance to force a favorable divorce settlement. "It's legal leverage," she said, "not blackmail." She handed me a card for a private investigator, ex-APD. "You need to know if there are other policies, and you need a prenatal paternity test immediately." I returned home at noon. His car was gone. The safe was empty. All documents removed. But he'd forgotten one thing: the loan paperwork to Ben. It had fallen behind the safe. I retrieved it. As I stood, I noticed something taped under his nightstand, a small black device, a voice-activated recorder. He'd been recording our conversations. I left it there, didn't touch it. But now I knew this wasn't just fraud. This was warfare, and I needed better weapons. My phone buzzed. A text from him. "We need to talk. My lawyer's office, 4 p.m. The trap was setting itself, and I had exactly 4 hours to prepare. The law firm was in a sleek glass tower on Colorado Street. His lawyer, Robert Vance, had the polished demeanor of a former prosecutor. My husband sat beside him, silent. Vance began, "My client is willing to offer a generous settlement in light of the pregnancy." He slid a document across the table. It offered me the Austin house, valued at $850,000, $200,000 cash, and full custody with reasonable visitation. In exchange, I would sign a non-disclosure agreement about the insurance policy and any related medical procedures. Maya, beside me, didn't touch the paper. "Your client filed a fraudulent insurance claim under Texas Penal Code 35.02, she said, calmly. "The statute of limitations is 7 years. Liberty Shield would be very interested in this certificate." Vance's smile tightened. "The policy is a marital asset. Your client could face constructive knowledge allegations." Maya opened her briefcase, placed a notarized affidavit on the table. "My client has sworn she had no knowledge until March 12th. She immediately sought legal counsel. She's prepared to report this to the Texas Department of Insurance unless your client agrees to our terms." She slid our counteroffer. "The house, $500,000 cash, full custody, and he pays all legal fees. Plus, he provides a written confession of his collaboration with Dr. Benjamin Eris." The room went still. My husband finally spoke, voice low. "You'd ruin my career. The SEC investigation at work." Maya cut him off. "The SEC is investigating Synergy Tech. Interesting. That gives us additional leverage." Vance placed a hand on my husband's arm. "We need to discuss this privately." They left the room. Maya turned to me. "The SEC angle is new. If his company is under investigation and he's committing insurance fraud, he's desperate." They returned 10 minutes later. Vance spoke. "We accept your terms, with one amendment. The confession remains sealed unless disclosed to authorities." Maya agreed. They drafted the agreement on the spot. My husband signed with a hand that shook slightly. As we left, Maya handed me an envelope. "The PI's preliminary report. You should read it tonight." In my car, I opened it. The PI had found a second, smaller infertility policy from 5 years ago, canceled after 6 months. A pattern. And Ben's medical license was already under review by the Texas Medical Board for improper prescription practices. This wasn't his first attempt, just his most lucrative. As I drove home, a question formed, one I want to ask you, the viewer. If you discovered your spouse was committing insurance fraud, Would you use it as leverage in divorce or report it immediately to authorities, knowing it might reduce your settlement? Think about it and let me know in the comments below, because my choice was about to get more complicated. I drove to Houston the next weekend. His parents lived in River Oaks, a mansion with perfectly manicured lawns. I needed to understand how deep this went. His mother, Eleanor, served tea in the sunroom. I showed her the insurance policy, the dates. She sighed, a sound of weary resignation. Mark has always been entrepreneurial with his health, she said, not meeting my eyes. The policy was his idea after that bonus at Synergy Tech. I stared at her. You knew? She stirred her tea. We knew he had a procedure, that it came with a financial benefit. We advised against it, of course. Of course. The casual betrayal took my breath away. He lied to me for 3 years. He committed fraud. She patted my hand. But you're pregnant now. That's the real blessing. Let's not dwell on unpleasantness. I stood, tea untouched. He recorded our conversations. He hid a voice recorder. For the first time, she looked uneasy. That's excessive. But Mark has always been thorough. Thorough, a euphemism for criminal. I left without saying goodbye. In the car, I called my sister in California. When I told her, she was silent for a full minute. You need to get out of Texas, she finally said. Come here, have the baby here. But I couldn't run, not yet. The PI's full report arrived Monday. It contained bank records showing a $10,000 transfer from my husband to Ben 2 weeks after the vasectomy, a consultation fee. It also showed regular payments to a storage unit in Round Rock. I drove there that afternoon. Unit 214, a cheap padlock. I used bolt cutters from the PI. Inside, boxes of documents from Synergy Tech, financial statements, internal emails, SEC filings. He was stealing from his company too. And at the bottom of a box, a sealed envelope addressed to E. Carter at a P.O. box in the Cayman Islands. I photographed everything. As I closed the unit, my phone rang. Unknown number. A man's voice. Stop digging. You have what you need for the divorce. Click. They were watching me. I drove straight to the Austin FBI field office on East Riverside, walked in, asked to speak to someone about insurance fraud and corporate espionage. They took me to a small room. Special Agent Harris listened, took notes, and said the magic words, "We'll need copies of everything." As I left, I realized I'd just escalated beyond divorce. This was now a federal case, and my husband would know within hours. 3 days later, Synergy Tech's Dallas headquarters was raided by the SEC, front-page news in the Dallas Morning News. My husband was placed on administrative leave. That evening, he confronted me in the kitchen, eyes bloodshot. The FBI visited Ben today. His medical license is suspended. Happy? I was chopping vegetables, knife steady. You committed fraud. You stole from your company. You recorded me without consent. That's a Class A misdemeanor in Texas. He leaned close, breath smelling of whiskey. You have no idea what you've started. The Cayman account wasn't just mine. I kept chopping. Tell the FBI, not me. He grabbed my wrist. The knife clattered. Listen, there are people involved, powerful people, at the company. This goes way beyond $75,000. I pulled free. Then you should have thought of that before you lied about a vasectomy. He left, slamming the door. An hour later, Agent Harris called. We've opened a formal investigation. The Cayman account belongs to a shell company linked to Synergy Tech's CFO. This is bigger than insurance fraud. It's wire fraud, SEC violations, possibly RICO. RICO, the Racketeer Influenced in Corrupt Organizations Act. Federal prison time. He asked if I'd wear a wire. I said I needed to think about it. The next morning, a certified letter arrived from Liberty Shield. They were voiding the infertility rider and referring the matter to the Texas Department of Insurance for possible criminal prosecution. They thanked me for my vigilance. That afternoon, Maya filed the divorce papers with the signed confession attached under seal. The court approved it in record time. I got the house, $500,000, full custody. He got legal bills and a federal investigation. But as I packed his belongings into boxes, I found one more thing: a positive paternity test from a lab in San Antonio, dated 2 weeks before our confrontation. He'd known the baby was his, known about the spontaneous reversal, and he'd still tried to gaslight me, still tried to protect the fraud. I sat on the bedroom floor, holding that piece of paper, the one truth in a mountain of lies. My baby was his. The vasectomy had reversed, a 1% medical anomaly, and he'd chosen the money over that truth, over us. The doorbell rang. Agent Harris stood there with another agent. "We have a warrant for his arrest. Is he here?" I shook my head. "But I know where he might be," and I gave them the address of the storage unit. As they drove away, I realized this story wasn't about a secret vasectomy anymore. It was about how far someone would go from money and how one impossible pregnancy unraveled it all. The arrest made local news. Synergy Tech VP arrested in fraud scheme. They didn't mention the vasectomy, just insurance fraud and conspiracy. Ben was arrested the same day. The CFO, Richard Vail, resigned for personal reasons. But the FBI wasn't done. Agent Harris showed me a flowchart in their office, my husband at the center. Lines to Ben, medical fraud, to Vail, corporate theft, to the Cayman account, and to a third name I didn't recognize, Lena Petrova, AML compliance officer, Liberty Shield. She approved the fraudulent writer, Harris explained. She's Vail's sister-in-law. They've been running this scheme for years with different employees. Your husband was just the latest. The vasectomy fraud was a small piece of a larger machine. They'd identify employees with clean medical histories, have them undergo optional procedures, take out writers, split the payouts. My husband's vasectomy was perfect, irreversible, usually, easy to document. My pregnancy was the first time a reversal had exposed them. Harris asked again about the wire. He's desperate. He might talk about Vail, about Petrova. It could help your custody case. I agreed. They fitted me with a device the next day. I called my husband, said I wanted to talk about moving forward. He agreed to meet at Mozart's Coffee on Lake Austin. He looked exhausted. The FBI has everything, he said, not knowing the wire was recording. Vail's cutting a deal, throwing me under the bus. I sipped my coffee. What about Ben? He laughed bitterly. Ben's been talking for weeks. That's how they knew about the storage unit. Then he leaned forward, voice dropping. There's another account in Switzerland. Vail set it up. It has $2 million. If I disappear, you could access it for the baby. I stared at him. You want me to help you flee? After everything? He grasped my hand. It's $2 million, Claire. Tax-free. We could share it, you and the baby. The offer hung in the air. $2 million for my silence, for letting him run. The wire felt hot against my skin. I pulled my hand back. I need to think about it. He nodded, hope flashing in his eyes. Tomorrow, same time, I'll bring the account details. I left, drove straight to the FBI office, played the recording. Harris smiled. Switzerland, that's new. We'll have someone at the meeting. That night, I couldn't sleep. $2 million, life-changing money, versus doing the right thing. The choice should have been easy, but in the dark, with his voice in my head, it wasn't. At 3 a.m., I made my decision, and it would change everything. The FBI set up surveillance at Mozart's, agents as tourists, cameras in the parking lot. I wore the wire again. He arrived early, nervous. He slid a piece of paper across the table, a Swiss account number at Credit Suisse, login credentials, a password. 2.3 million, he whispered. Yours if you tell the FBI I cooperated, if you say I gave you this information voluntarily. I looked at the paper. And you disappear, he nodded. Vale has a plane, tonight, from a private strip in Georgetown. I need you to create a distraction at the FBI office. Say you're dropping off documents. Keep them busy from 8 to 9 p.m. The plan was detailed, almost clever. I pocketed the paper. I need to see the money first. Log in. He pulled out a tablet connected to the coffee shop Wi-Fi, logged into the account. The balance showed $2,314,867.22. He was telling the truth. I memorized the URL, the security questions. Then I did what the FBI had instructed. I spilled my coffee on the table, the signal. Oops, clumsy me, I said, standing. He grabbed napkins. That's when the agents moved in, 4 of them. Harris placed a hand on his shoulder. Mark Johnson, you're under arrest for attempted bribery of a witness, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and attempted international flight to avoid prosecution. The cuffs clicked. He looked at me, betrayal in his eyes. You set me up. I showed him the wire under my shirt. You set yourself up when you lied about a vasectomy for insurance money. At the station, he cut a deal. He gave them Vale, Petrova, the whole scheme. In exchange, reduced charges. He'd serve maybe 3 years, not 20. The Swiss account was frozen. The SEC recovered most of Synergy Tech's stolen funds. Ben lost his medical license. Petrova was arrested at Liberty Shield's Dallas headquarters. Vale was captured trying to board a plane to the Caymans. The network was dismantled, but one question remained for me, the baby. I had the amniocentesis at 16 weeks. The results confirmed what we knew. He was the father. The vasectomy had spontaneously recanalized. Dr. Chin called it a 1 in 100 medical event. The ultimate irony. The impossible was true. The fraud was the only lie. I gave birth to a healthy boy in September, named him Leo, truth in Latin. As I held him in the hospital, Agent Harris visited. He took a full plea deal, 7 years federal. He'll serve at FCI Seagoville. I nodded. No tears, just relief. Harris handed me an envelope. The court awarded you the $500,000 from the divorce, plus the house, and as the whistleblower, you're entitled to 15% of recovered funds. That's about $300,000 from the SEC. Nearly $1 million total. Justice with interest. But as I looked at Leo, I knew the real cost couldn't be measured in dollars. It was measured in trust, in the fundamental belief that the person you love won't monetize your life together. And once that's broken, no amount of money can fix it. The final court hearing was in February. My husband, now in an orange jumpsuit, pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud, insurance fraud, and SEC violations. Sentence? 84 months at FCI Seagoville, with possibility of parole after 60. Ben got 36 months for medical fraud and lost his license permanently. Vale got 15 years, the mastermind. Petrova got 5. The network was gone. I sold the Austin house, moved to a smaller place in the hill country, used the whistleblower money to start a college fund for Leo and a small business for myself, a consulting firm that helps people spot financial fraud in relationships. Irony indeed. The final twist came 6 months later, a letter from the Texas Department of Insurance. They'd completed their investigation and were revoking Liberty Shield's license to sell injury or illness riders in Texas for 5 years, a $2 million fine, and a personal letter from their CEO apologizing for systemic failures in our verification process. I framed it, not for the apology, but as a reminder. Systems fail, people fail, but you don't have to. The final revelation, the 1% medical miracle, was real. Leo is now 1 year old, looks like his father, same eyes. Sometimes that's hard, but I tell him stories about truth, about how his existence, a 1% medical miracle, exposed a 100% criminal conspiracy, how sometimes the universe sends a message in the form of a child. The lesson is this: trust the disconnect. When the story doesn't match the evidence, when the emotion doesn't match the situation, that's your gut screaming, dig, document, protect. Financial betrayal is as destructive as emotional betrayal, and often it's the real motive. Read every document, question every inconsistency, and never, ever ignore a red flag because it's wrapped in a love story. Because sometimes the love story is the cover, and the truth is in a safe, in a search history, in a policy you were never meant to see. My name is Claire. This is my confession and my warning. This is an anonymous confession, AI narrated, but based on real experiences shared online. Names, locations, and identifying details have been changed for privacy. The emotional truth remains. Subscribe to Reddit Sting Stories for daily shocking confessions. Turn on notifications so you never miss a story that could change how you see relationships. Remember, if something feels wrong in your relationship, trust your gut. Read every document, question inconsistencies, and never ignore red flags.